And don't forget to unmute your microphone.
I don't see myself.
Okay, we see you and hear you.
I don't know if I have my the screen, the monitor. Let's see. I'm asking again for the request.
Hello, Mr. Dotan.
Hi.
Please go to the green label above and press
I did.
View Up. And now you have to double click the screen.
Is it okay?
Now you should have control.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. Everything is okay. You know, life is always a story, and we all have many stories to tell. But I always like to start with a poem, and I always like to start with a big heart, and with nature and harmony and balance and beauty, because this is what is so abundant and free and so beautiful. So I go to New York, upstate New York, or anywhere in the world. Telemachos was talking about Greece, Evcharisto, and Greece is so beautiful, and Hungary is so beautiful. Every place is so beautiful. And this is just a lake, early morning. It's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. It's so quiet. It's so tranquil. It is so peaceful. It's like what life is all about. It's heaven. So how can you not write a poem when you are in this place? And so, yes, I write poetry. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. And this is a poem that I wrote in China, climbing a mountain, and actually saying that my best friend is the bamboo stick that I'm holding in my hand when I climb and I need somebody to support me. So nature is supporting me, right? And so I wrote a book, a few books, and one of them was After the Rain in 2010. It was published in Shanghai when I designed the World Expo, the Israel World Expo in Shanghai. And I was the general contractor and the builder and the whole thing, not only the designer. And this book was very short and beautiful. And 7 years afterwards, about 3 years ago, I was in Budapest, and with a big a poetry reading. It was a very wonderful and touching. And so life can be very simple because it's all about, I think, love and about respect. And I will read this poem, and this is what it was all about. You know, people don't like spiders, but after the rain, spider web is woven diamonds of water drops, because after the rain, all of a sudden, it becomes jewelry. You just need to see, you just need to really go deep into our most beloved Mother Earth and treasures that she provides us with. And so, excuse me, the great philosopher in China, Lao Tzu, 2,500 years ago, said, "Dafa to run." Everything comes from nature, but everything in nature is functional. Even though we look at this beautiful picture and says this is beautiful, but nature is about survival and function and science, and not about beauty. Men or human beings think about beauty and ugliness. So these are flowers, you know. This is again in the United States. They look like a chain of beautiful red hearts and and you know, tears all combined together. I mean, we cannot do anything better than nature. Nature's got vast amount of ideas and innovations. And so got stuck. Can you move it to the next one? Yeah, so the question is, if we are born to something so beautiful as nature, and there's a delay here. I wanted to go to the picture in the back. Yeah, this one is where is the humanity is going to in the 21st century, 22nd century. We're definitely not talking about the Iktinos and Kalligratis 2,000 years ago, right? We're talking about us, our children, our future generations. And so are they going towards being in harmony with nature, or are they going with tradition and the beauty of our immense culture, or are we going after innovations and cars and money? Where do we go? This is part of my questions in China for 20 years. So going to the next one, there is one sound, it's not even a language, and the sound like birds, you know, and the sound is I. And I in English is me. I am. So when we talk in English about I, that means me, our ego, ourselves, but exactly the same sound to 1.5 billion people. Chinese, when they say I, it means love. It's unbelievable, which love is giving. And I in English is me, which is taking. So we somehow need to rethink our psychological, our mental attitude about the sound of I. And where do we want to go? We have immense amount of problems worldwide. We have pollutions of air pollution, and we have water pollution, and we have traffic, mobility, tremendous 100 years of insanity, where we spend so much energy and resources and get stuck and waste billions of hours on needless, but we don't think about I'm sorry, we don't think about the globe. We don't think about Mother Earth. We don't use innovations by nature, which is like magnets, but we drive using oil. And this is a tremendously stupid thing that we've done in the past 80 years. Wall housing, which is visual pollution, where we built high density. Essentially, the high density is not required in many places, but we need to deal with that. It's all about, I think, in many places, greed and money, and not a necessity of humanity to live on high-rise buildings. Well, now we're facing with global warming, and the cities will be slowly being effective. Venice and Los Angeles and Miami and Shanghai, we're going to be in 20, 30, 40 years, we'll see what's happening. And the coronavirus, which is a teeny little thing that showed us, hey guys, you got to be a little more respectful of Mother Earth, and you got to be really more respectful towards one another. And I'm that little, and I locked you all, the whole world, 7, 8 billion people in prisons, while we, the animals and the plants, are all free. So this is a big warning from Mother Earth. And what do we architects need to do? I do think, and I'm not going to show 20 projects, but rather maybe one, which is about attitude. The Zhangjiajie glass bridge is about the thinking dialogue with nature, which is more about I as love. And it was the first glass bridge in the world. It's a story. Why is it a glass bridge? Why would an architect design a glass bridge? And why would an architect design and not an engineer? And so I came to this place in Hunan. It's in Zhangjiajie, the great, fantastic canyon, and with a client. And this is where Avatar, you know, the film Avatar was shot, but it was not that famous. And then the client told me that he wants to design a bridge. And I told him, well, why do you want to build a bridge on a canyon? And he said, I want to make money. And I said, but you know, a bridge which is about 450 meters long probably is going to destroy nature, because the size of the beams is going to be huge, 4 or 5 meters. And he didn't care. So I simply, we were standing there, 3 people, the client, the developer, his wife, and myself. And I'm Israeli, I'm not Chinese, and he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak Chinese that well. And I told him one sentence. I told him, Da Ying Shi Sheng Da Xiang Wu Xing, which means from Lao Tzu, great sound is unheard. You don't hear sound and you don't see a form. So in a sense, I told him, I will design this bridge with you only on one condition, that we do our best to make this bridge invisible, to make it disappear, but not only by clouds. And so we start thinking, so how do we make it disappear? And we said, okay, glass is one idea. So it was not about the design, but rather respect of nature and rather working in dialogue with nature. And I think the tendency now worldwide is becoming a lot more stronger, and people are more aware of working with Mother Earth instead of working against it. And so this bridge at the end turned out to be, after 3.5 years, the first glass bridge in the world. It turned out to be about 60 centimeters of depth instead of 4 meters that the structure engineer requested for 3 years. And it's a bridge which actually is not about the design, but it's about the fact that 800 people to 1,000 people come to the bridge, and they stay on the glass, and they stay on the bridge, and they are in glory of nature. You know, the bridge is the teacher, not the architect. The architect is only a bridge of how to make project which can bring to people's attention that it is, sorry, that nature is magnificent. And so the bridge opens up, and the bridge is very heavy, by the way. It's about, weighs about 2,200 tons. So there's no vibrations and all the problems. And because it's glass, it creates a fantastic, everyone is happy, basically. It is the only project as an architect that I've ever been and involved in that everyone is happy. The developer makes money. The people are very happy to be on the bridge. The government is making taxes. And the biggest thing of them all, the farmers. The farmers, the poor farmers that for thousands of years were poor, they started making money for the first time in their history, because there are 5 million visitors and each one is paying $20. So that's like $80 to $100 million revenues from the bridge. And the bridge does not say anything, it's just silent. And $100 million every year. And now there are 2,200 glass bridges in China, glass platforms. And what do people do? They walk on it and they say, wow, nature is so beautiful. So here is the role of the architect to design something that will bring to our attention that we can, first of all, develop in a very remote places using ecological architecture. We can use our ingenuity and respect to Mother Earth and develop very remote places. And here is, I got an honorary citizen of Zhangjiajie, not for design, not for architecture, for the contribution to the economic and social development of Zhangjiajie. And the whole province, after 4 years of 60 million inhabitants, 60 million got out of poverty. And this is unbelievable achievement in China, because President Xi Jinping is pushing for getting out of poverty for another 700 million people. So it's not only density, but it's our respect as designers to the surrounding, to the neighborhood. And by the way, Tilamakos, I liked your projects and how they were situated on Mother Earth. And also our beloved 50 architects in the firm of Dotan. And so why do we have to build like that? Why do we have to build in nature with high density buildings and destroying nature? And why do we have to do these things? We can leave, this is just one of the projects I'm working in China with many other architects, where the buildings are more invisible and the courtyard, the sky courtyards. And so it's all ecological building that are about wind and water, and building that are not separated, standing like dancers, but rather they hug each other. And there is what I think is the projects, buildings in high density should have a dialogue with each other and should respect each other and not stand alone as sculptures to the beauty of whoever it is, but rather become more urban and more humble when they come together. And this is the future. You know, these are the future students of ours, or architects, or people. A 1.5 year old baby, and she's already on this. It's unbelievable. By the time she comes to the university, she knows and they know everything. So I think the second thing is not necessarily only projects and architecture, but it's education is the most important thing right now. And this is what I've been doing as a professor in Shanghai, teaching for 10 years as a head of a department. And even Lao Tzu in this situation again, you know, his concept is teaching without using words. So don't teach, let nature teach. And here is an example. I take my students, they're young, they're 18, I take them to the mountains, Huangshan, the yellow mountain in China. And what happens is that I tell them that the energy of life, ecology, sustainability is the chi of life. It's the energy of life. And so in order to get to understand nature, I cannot teach about nature. But when it rains, we go outside and we paint in the rain. So when the students are painting, they do with watercolor one line and the rain makes another line and they make one line and another line. So the painting is being done by nature, by the rain and the students. In the morning, it dries out and they see their creation with nature and they feel nature. And the same way also with poetry, we write poetry on top of the mountains and every student writes poetry. Thousands of my students, they all write poetry. And so this is what I think we need to do. The teacher is a gardener, it's not a teacher. The teacher is a gardener that simply waters and hugs the flowers, and the flowers are students, and every flower is beautiful and it blossoms when the time is right. And so we are gardeners, they're flowers, and we need simply to connect them to nature. And this is a message of love, a message of humbleness and respect, respect them person to a person, to creativity, to the projects, but also, again, to Mother Nature. This is a painting I did many years ago, a drawing. It says, beauty, just close your eyes and let the clouds lead. Meaning we don't need to necessarily to see every time or to listen every time. But sometimes beauty is just by feeling and by doing less. And so I want to thank you very much. And I hope that we will get back to our senses as people who are just passerbys on Mother Earth. We don't control the ecology. We don't control Mother Earth. We are just tourists. And again, Shishi Daja, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. Thank you.